Well, we're going to make this part, what was the other one, part 4? We're going to make this, I'll just make this part 5, okay? The other one was about the Allen wrench. My last part of the series was about the Allen wrench. But you can start it back at part 1 of this little particular series of fixing my motocross clunk. Fixing my motocross clunk. Motocross jump clunk. It's a long story. I went over the wife and I loaded down all the gear on our bike and stuff. We're riding an '83 Yamaha Venture with all the trimmings and the fixings. No, not really. It's a standard. There's no trimmings and fixings. We sing to ourselves and we talk to each other. We have no major fixings. It just goes down the road. But it's a lot of fun. All right. And so we're cruising along. And we hit one of these. I can't remember what they call them. In like a trailer park or something, they would call them a speed bump. But out on the highways where we run at, out on the IC expressways where we get trapped at sometimes, that concrete gets hot and it buckles up. Have you ever seen that? It's quite a sight. I've seen them lots of times through the years, okay, and I usually avoid them. This particular one I didn't catch in time, and I didn't quite avoid it. And we kind of got we got some air, highway speeds, airborne, landed her. Boy, she did just great and all that kind of stuff. The only thing is I noticed a clunk, slight clunk. Now this has been a couple thousand miles, 1,500, 2,000 miles back, okay. So I'm like, from then on, I'm like, well, I better not see too many of those triple digits anymore. Let's see if we can get home with it. So we did. And that's where we're at. I've been working on it, trying to figure out what it is. Wasn't the drive shaft? Here's the drive shaft out of the girl. Okay, that's still good. There's the final drive out of it. That all looked really good. I just got the swing arm out of her, and that's what we've been working on here today. That's been today's project. And the first sign I don't fall like I used to. I just hit the trailer roll up when I do this. The first sign of something's wrong is right here. I don't know if you can see this now. I might have lost it. Just a minute. I'll stick my hand down in here and pull this out of here so you can see it. Do you see that right there? That is a hunk of metal. This is the little housing that whatchamacallit runs in. That the U-joint runs in. Now let me see if I can't stand back up. Just tip my roller seat back up, right? Doing all this while trying to film. Ah, my goodness sakes, and being an old timer ain't so easy. Ain't as easy as it used to be. Nah, this ain't so bad. There we go. Okay. So now, digging a little bit closer, a friend of mine mentioned to me to check the frame. These 83s had frame problems, okay? And in these webs, these corner webs in this frame where these cross members hit at, where the center stand mounts at, and all that, puts a lot of pressure on this frame, on these frames, cross members and stuff. And I guess some people have had problems with them breaking there. And let me get my hand in here, get this voltage regulator out of the way so you can see this. And up in here, man, this whole frame on this old girl. He mentioned that to me on Venture Rider. I did my first post. Been, I think, a little over a month, or about a month away from the site, because we've been busy out chasing, possibly getting a new grandson, all that kind of stuff. Out chasing, covered a lot of miles. But anyway, Flying Fool mentioned, and I really appreciate his advice to check my frame and stuff, because after an impact like that, you never know. So, Jeff, everything looks good there as far as I can tell. Of course, you can't really grind them up. I don't see any. A lot of times, if you have if you have a crack in a frame or something, you'll see paint where paint has broken away, and you can actually see the cracks, stress cracks starting to happen and all that kind of stuff. I see no sign of that, none whatsoever here at all. And I got my flashlight laying over there, but I think this right here would probably work better. But what I did find now that I got that swing arm out of the way, and I found that piece of metal inside of the housing. Here's at least part of the problem. Look, see there? Okay, that used to be a good U-joint, and it was good and freshly greased. And, I mean, the other ones are all still good and still got grease in them and all that kind of stuff. But that one and then the other side. Now, of course, I can't. Here's a problem. All right, I am 99.9% confident that this all started with the impact of the back of this bike coming down off a jump on the highway doing 85, 90 miles an hour with the wife and I and all the gear. Got off that thing. I don't know how far we flew or whatever, but I do know that it was a massive impact, and that's where it all began. About somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 miles ago. Okay, and then this is all highway running, not high speed though, just normal speeds and keeping track of it. And if you go to part 1 of this series, you'll see what this sounded like. Clunk, clunk. Hear that? What that sounded like before I tore it down. Okay, but there's the movement. That is shot. Okay. Now, what I can't tell, and I can try, and I've done this already, is that bevel gear and the internals of that, if there's any damages in there. All right, and the way I've been checking this is I put it in gear, lock it, so the transmission is holding it, and then move this yoke, not move the inner yoke, the yoke on the end of the output shaft, and you just move that, and you can tell it's supposed to have a couple thou maybe of lash in between those gears, 3/1000 maybe, I would say, somewhere in there. All right, on something like this, that is set, by the way, by a shim. You see this bolt right here that I got my finger on, and this mounting plate right here? Well, in behind this mounting plate is a shim, and what that shim does is that sets the distance that output shaft sets down into. It's got a bevel gear on the end of it. How far it sets into its mating gear, and the lash there is what you're looking for. Okay, so but all the way around now this isn't in gear now, but all the way around here, I feel no odd spots or anything at this time. All right, and what I really I will really be curious to see is whether or not I have a crack in these yokes, in any of these yokes. That's something you want to, when you experience an impact like that, or any other thing, a binding or anything like that. These yokes, it is possible to crack these. Now I know that looks like a crack right there, but it's not. I can see it in the daylight. It's a mold mark, but you just kind of really inspect things over. And then the other thing, and I've already looked in here, are these gears, the mating gear to the drive shaft. And that right there is one of the reasons why this thing is going to be so difficult to put back together again, is because you got to get, after you get that swing arm back up, you got to open that boot up, and then you got to hold this guy up while you slide that drive shaft in. That sounds like fun. If you've never done one, if you've never experienced one, I think I fought with one, might have been like the second or third one that I had apart to grease things and to check things over the years. I've been riding these since '87, so I've had a couple of them apart. But I think I had one that took me like, I don't know, 6 hours, 8 hours, something like that. It was quite a job. But it's just a matter, you're working blind. You got a little hanger or something that you're holding that up with, and kind of feeling the drive shaft and feeling that, and you're just fortunate if you get it. Well, after you've done a couple of them, you kind of good. Maybe you get her down to 3 or 4 hours. The really good guys can do it in 2 minutes. They get her done. There's guys on VentureRider.org that can do that in their sleep, but I'm not one of them. I'm not what we call in the club a guru. There's a number of gurus that really are good at this stuff, but I'll just be glad if this thing gets back together again in one piece. And a tip, I and Tweaksus get to get a few more miles on us, okay? So well, there you have it. There's where we're at. I'll get some more pictures when I get this thing apart, okay? Hey, get out and ride. And if you can't ride because your bike's broke, get out and work on your bike so you can ride.